Hello there guys, Teacher Krishna here and welcome to our next class for the fourth unit. This is a class that is part of Beehive School, 7th grade. Just like you know, this subject is science and we are working on week number 29 today. It's a great pleasure having you all around here. Let's start with our end in mind. Students will be able to illustrate the structure of a volcano and explain what each one of its parts consists of. All right, of course, this is related to our summary of activities. So, number one, make a drawing of a volcano with all its components. So, make sure that you take the time to read the content from today's lesson in our book. And then, of course, you can draw the volcano in your notebook. And identify and describe the components of the volcano. And very important to notice as well. So, of course, you have to make your drawing, but just like every week, please make sure to include the date, end in mind, the title of our topic, and then you are going to make the drawing of the volcano. And of course, remember to complete the book exercises from pages 138 to 142. Lastly, number 4, create a compilation of your work in one document. It can be either Word or PDF, and upload it to the webpage of Educativa. So let's start with our topic. We are talking about volcanic eruptions right now. You will find this topic from pages 138 to 141. And this is one of the goddesses that in the traditional Hawaiian culture they believe in. And actually, Hawaiian people believe that what you can see in this picture, this sort of hair, actually is part of the hair of one of the entities, such as this goddess. So how is it possible? How can people actually find this sort of hair in the islands of Hawaii? Well, Pele is known as the goddess of fire. The Hawaiian people believe the hair-like materials that are found in volcanoes are just the goddess's hair. So they usually find this type of hair or material close to the volcanoes in Hawaii. And of course, that is part of the traditional part of Hawaii and part of their culture. But in reality, it is formed when tiny drops of magma reach the air. They stretch and cool down. So how interesting that is. Imagine these hair-like components is actually magma. So when they reach Earth, they are going to stretch and they are going to get thinner and thinner. And of course, later on, when there is an aggregation of the same material, they kind of look like hair. All right, now we're going to go inside a volcano and we're going to analyze one of the parts, well, all of their parts, and then I'm going to give you a picture to actually help you out understand each one of these ones better. So a volcanic structure is more complex than it seems. It includes the following parts. So you can take notes of this because it can basically help you out to identify the parts in the activity that you need to complete today. We have a magma chamber. It is a body of magma located under the volcano. When it erupts, magma forces itself through one of the cracks on Earth's crust. So let's suppose that you have your volcano right here. So at the bottom, you are going to find the magma chamber. Let's say it's like a swimming pool, but instead of water, you have magma, right? We also have a pipe. It is a sort of tube or opening that extends from Earth's crust to the top of the volcano. So we have the magma chamber and all the tube or all the, it's like the hole that is going to take the magma to the exterior is called the pipe. We also have vents. And a vent is an opening that can be found around the volcano. So let's say that is like a mini crater. It's like a mini opening where actually magma can spill out from. All right, we have lava flow. It pours out of the vents. So since vents are like small openings, then magma can actually flow through them. And lastly, we have a crater. It is a bowl-like structure formed at the top of a volcano. It is the principal opening where lava pours out from. So of course you have the volcano, and right here you have like a bowl or like a structure right at the top, where if you go at the top of a volcano and you observe it, you will actually be able to spot the lava that is coming out of it. That is the crater. Right, and just like I mentioned before, here we have a picture of the components that we have from our volcano. So, right over here we have a magma chamber. Remember, the magma chamber is right at the base of the volcano, and of course, it supplies the rest of the structure with magma. We also have our main vent. It's like an opening that goes all the way to the top. But this one can also be called as the pipe. Remember, the pipe is the one that is like the hole that comes from Earth's crust to the top, to the crater. We have some vents right over here. You can notice that we have these small openings that come out of the center, but they are not as big as the crater at the top. They are smaller, and of course, they are not located at the top of the volcano, but they are located in the middle or a little bit close to the bottom. And just like I mentioned before as well, in these vents, lava can flow from it. So lava starts spilling out of the vents, and of course, it is possible to find a lava not only at the top of the volcano, but also aside from it. Also, we are going to have our crater, which is basically the top of the volcano, and is the main opening of the volcano where magma is going to come out from if there is an eruption. Okay, now that we're talking about eruptions in volcanoes, we're going to continue talking about them. And just like soda keeps gases inside, magma does too. During an eruption, the pressure in magma and rocks decrease. A lot of bubbles are formed, and that causes magma to rise. So it's interesting that we can actually compare a soda with a volcano, because you can notice that when you open a soda, you're going to find a lot of bubbles and particles that start pumping up. The same thing happens with volcanic activity. So there are these gases that are contained inside magma that start pumping out. If the activity or the magma activity in the volcano is way too high, then an eruption is caused. And magma is finally expulsed through a vent or through the crater. All right, and here we have an example of what a volcanic eruption will look like. So the gases cannot be contained anymore inside the magma. So it causes to start rising and rising up until it just releases all of the energy that it has contained. And we have two types of volcanic eruptions. And when we talk about volcanic eruptions, we need to consider a term that is named silica. What is it? It is a material that consists of oxygen and silicon. So silicon, like the one that we use at school, that is like a sticky material, it is naturally found in magma. And it determines the type of volcanic eruption. And the first one we're going to talk about is quiet eruptions. So a volcano erupts quietly. It means that it doesn't make any sound if the amount of silica in magma is low. Hawaiian Islands were formed by these eruptions. It causes magma to flow easily and bubble out softly. It usually goes out of the vents, and this type of magma generates different types of rock. So this magma can generate this pahoehoe. It's a difficult word in English, and it forms from hot, fast-moving lava. Or AA, which forms from magma that is cooler and thicker. So just to recap everything that we have said. So basically, the level of silica is very low during quiet eruptions. So since there isn't a lot of oxygen and silicon, the magma can flow easily, or it is very smooth. So when it bubbles, it is not very strong, let's say. It's not very drastic. And of course, since magma can flow easily, then it is going to go out of the vents little by little, and a big eruption is not going to happen. All right. But something very important, what you can see right over here is not a quiet eruption. So my question is, what information can you find about explosive eruptions? So go ahead to page 142 and read the content that you can find in that page to find out more about an explosive eruption. So that's it for me for now, and thank you a lot, guys, for coming to today's lesson, and I will see you during our live session in a couple of minutes. Goodbye, everyone, and take care.